Right, so today we're going to study simplifying and combining like terms and using distributive property. Why are we using this? Because we want to simplify, a complicated expression. Then eventually we will use this to solve equations. Let's review first the multiplication rules with signed numbers. Same sign, 3 times 9 is 27. And then negative 3 times negative 9 is still 27. 3 times negative 9 is negative now 27. And negative 3 times 9 is now a negative. We remember the rules before. Look at my hands. Same signs, positive. So write it down. Same signs, positive. And different signs. Look at my hands. Different signs, negative. So that's how we multiply. We also need to review combining like terms. Now, think of this in life, right? You like in school, you always hang out with friends with whom you have something in common. For example, this group of students would like to play playing cards, so you hang out with them. There's a group of students who like playing with video games. You hang out with them. There's a group of students who like Korean K-pop music. You hang out with them. So like common interests, you combine. Now, check this out. So I have here different types of shoes, right? So obviously, what can you say? There are one, two, three, four of the red shoes, and then three of the Timberland shoes, and one of the, what's that? A clown shoes. So let's write it down. Four Nikes, the red one. Okay, where did we get that? We got that from the red Nikes. One, two, three, four. We combine them as four Nikes. All right. Three Timberlands. This one that goes over there, and one clown shoes is over there. And because we're in math people are lazy in writing long words. So instead of Nike, they write letter N. Instead of writing Timberland, they write T. Instead of writing clown shoes, they write C. So this one, guys, is already an expression, a simplified expression. Can I still further combine them? No, I cannot combine them because the Nike should be separated from the Timberlands, separated from the clown shoes. You cannot combine if they are different. Okay, so that's it. That's your final answer. Now, let's try to combine the following, but these are basic rules that you should remember. Operation becomes the sign, number one. Number two, mark the similar terms. And number three, apply addition rules. What do we mean by that? All right, so let's combine the like terms. Look at this. I'll use a circle for letter N. I want all the N's, like the Nikes, right, to be identified. I want to circle also the 9N here, but check it out. The operation is also the sign. Let me copy not just 9N, but including the operation beside it. So the circled ones. Now, let me use another ink. How about the K's? The K, let me put a square for you. The K's. All right. Another set of K is over here. Look at this. I am including the sign. Do not just circle 3K. Do not just put a square in 3K. Include the sign. Negative. Remember, the operation becomes the sign. And then we mark the similar terms. Now we are ready to apply the addition rules. Now, so addition rules, let's look at the red. So the N's, the Nikes, it's like combining the Nikes. 9N plus another N. Remember, if there's a variable without a number, there's a hidden one over there. Okay, warning. There's a hidden one. So 9N, 9 Nikes plus 1 Nike is how many? 10 Nikes. So you can just write 10N. 10N. All right. Next, let's look at the one which I marked with a square. The square is a negative 10K and a negative 3K. These two, when combined, will become, adding two negatives now. The rules for integers, two negatives is still a negative. So negative, look at how I write it. Negative 13K. That negative becomes the operation as well. All right, so my final answer, a combined like terms will be 10N minus 13k. All right, let's try another one. Check this out. So let me circle the R, 12R. Is there another one with the R? A 3R. Okay, both positive. We can add the two positives now. 12R and 3R is 15R. All right, we're okay. Now, check this out. The 5 is a positive. Look, I'm using a square now because, they are similar or like terms. And a negative 5. How do you add a positive 5 and a negative 5? Okay, what happens? Yes, they cancel out, so that becomes 0. So should I need to write plus 0? No need to write plus 0. No need to write that. You can just say the simplified version is 15R. That's the answer. Check, check. Now, next, let's look at the next one. Again, remember, the operation is the sign. The excess circle for you. I see another one with an X there. I circle you, including the positive, right? Remember that. I see, oh, it's just these two, right? So that Y, I will not circle the Y because you're not similar terms with the X's. Only the X's could be combined. So positive 15 plus negative 3, you're adding a positive and a negative. You subtract them, so that becomes a 12x. 12x. All right. What else can I combine? Check this out. The negative 9. I put a box for negative 9. Another number, negative 4. So that means the red boxes will be added because they are the like terms. So I will write 9 plus 4. They're both negative, negative 13. How about the 3y, Ram? What will happen? It's not similar with anything. All right, if it's not similar with anything, simply bring it down, plus 3y. All right, so look at that. The operation is a sign. The operation is a sign. So my final answer, the combined like terms are now what? 12x minus 13 plus 3y. Check. So again, combining like terms. They should have the same letters, the same literal coefficients. The next lesson is distributive property. We studied this before when we were doing properties of equation. So that means 5 times x and 5 times 5, right? That 5 is distributed to both. 5 times x is what? 5x. 5 times 5 is 25. Since it is positive, put a plus over there. Can I still combine that? No more, because they're not like terms. Okay, again, distributive. This, not, remember, that's a negative 6. Don't think of it as positive 6. Always include the sign. Multiplied by this and multiplied by that. That's a positive 2. So how do I write it? That becomes negative 6 times 5. Put a dot. Okay, don't use the time symbol because it might look like an X. The other one is negative 6 times 2m. All right, so let's combine the first part. 6 times 5 is 30. You're a negative. 6 times 2 is a 12. But there's an m. Copy the m. Since it's a negative, that negative is also the operation. So you could think of it as negative 30 minus 12, because it also means negative 30 plus negative 12. They're the same. All right, so that's your simplified form. Now, look at this. In number 3, is there anything else we could do? There's nothing to be distributed. That's what one kid said. But take note, this is a warning. Hello, this is a warning. Write the word warning. Warning. If there's a negative outside the parenthesis, there is always a hidden 1. Oh, there's a hidden 1. So that means I still need to distribute that negative. Take note, that's a negative 1. That one is actually a negative 1. Negative 1 will be distributed to both, meaning multiplied to all of the terms inside. So let's write it down. Negative 1 times negative 4. I know some kids can do this mentally, but please write it first. Negative 1 dot 9a. Negative 1 dot, not just 2b, that includes the sign. Remember the operation, times negative 2b. Okay? Don't write any operation in between because we will know that later. Negative times negative is a positive 4. Negative times positive is a negative 9. Negative 9a, instead of writing negative, the operation is the sign, and the sign is the operation. See that? Then negative times negative is positive 2b. 2b, since you're positive, the sign is also the operation. So that's your simplified form. 4 minus 9a plus 2b. Okay, remember the rules for distributive property. Now we will combine all the rules that we've learned. So every time there's a number outside the parentheses, think of distributive property. So let's write it down. That's going to be what? 2 times 4x, 2 times positive 3. Since I'm not using you yet, I will do the minus 3x later. You're on standby, right? Let me do this first. Okay, so this one first, that becomes 2 times 4 is an 8x. 2 times 3 is a 6. Since 6 is positive, I put a plus. So now I can bring you down. Minus 3x. Do you think I'll stop? Is that the simplified version? Some kids will stop here and do this. But no, check again. Guess what? Guess what? X, 8x, and negative 3x are like terms. See that? Yeah, they have the same x's. So you two, these are like the Timberlands, you can combine them. 8 minus 3 is a what? It's a 5. Of course, the x is still there, but you positive 6, you're alone, so you stay as plus 6. So that is your simplified form. Let's try another one. A number outside the parentheses. Okay, warning, warning. You know, I put arrows, so I know there's something to be done. Another number outside the parentheses. Warning, warning, I will do distributive property. See that? Now, let's do that. 3 times x, 3 times, take note, that's not just a 5, that's a negative 5. Write it down. For the second part, that's going to be 2 times 4x and 2 times 3. By the way, for some kids, this part is done mentally. Okay? Once you reach the next grade, or once you get used to it, this one is done mentally. They will just write the next answer. Okay, so our first answer will be 3x. The next answer will be 15. Since 1 is negative, so you're a minus. 2 times 4 is an 8. 8. X, of course, don't forget the x. Since they're positive, put a plus. 2 times 3 is a 6. 6, since you're positive, put a plus. All right. Some kids will stop. Not yet. Oops, not yet. Why? Because if you look at this, there are like terms. See, I circle them, including the sign. So 8 and 3 becomes what? 8, 9, 10, 11x. What happens to these two numbers? Okay, I put a square. I put a square for positive 6. Another square for negative 15. Take note, that's not 15 but negative 15. Negative 15 plus positive 6 is a 9, right? Subtract them because they have different signs and copy the sign of the bigger one, negative, so you're the minus. Okay? So that's the answer. Next, number 3. Oh, again, look at this. A negative outside the parentheses. Warning, warning. There is a hidden 1 over there. All right? So that hidden 1 will be distributed to you and to you. So let's rewrite everything. So 12, you're just a 12. Copy. Negative 1 times positive 3 is negative 3b. Negative 1 times 7 is a positive, and negative will be a negative 7, right? So I put minus now. I'm not using you just go down 10b. All right. I'm not yet done because there are like terms. I can combine the negative 3b and the positive 10b. See, combine that. 10 minus 3 is 7b. Okay? Now, I put a square for the numbers. The numbers could be added separately. Take note, the 7 is not just 7. I included the sign. 12 minus 7 is a 5. So, 5 is positive plus 5. Alright? So, this is your answer. Oh, Ram, what if I did the addition of the 12 and negative 7 first, and I wrote 5 first, and then I wrote the positive 7b next? Are they the same? Yes, because of what property? Commutative property. Number 4. Ooh, sometimes you will encounter fractions. So 1/2 of something, you will multiply them. So 4k is still a 4k. Okay, 1/2 times 4. What is half of 4? 2. 2k. You're multiplying them. So positive. 1/2 times 8 is, half of 8 is 4. So positive 4. You're alone. I bring you down negative 7k. Will I stop? Not yet. Look at all the k's. I see a 4. I see a 2. I see not just a 7, a negative 7. 4 plus 2 is what? 6. Positive 6k, 6k plus the negative 7k. The result will be what? Negative 1k, negative 1k plus 4. But you know what? Sometimes if it's a coefficient of 1, they don't write it anymore. They just write negative k plus 4. All right? If the coefficient is 1, you don't need to write it anymore. This is a 1. Okay? But if you wrote that, I will also accept it. Okay. All right. Sometimes you will also encounter decimals. If you look at this point 2 beside the parentheses, that means you'll have to multiply it to each of the terms. Okay, and here, warning, there's a hidden 1 there, right? If there's a negative outside the parenthesis, there's a hidden 1. That means you will be distributing that, multiplying it for each terms. Okay, so let's do that now. Let's start with this one. You could write it down, or you could just do the multiplication mentally. That's negative 0.2k, right? Negative 0.2 times positive 7 is, positive times negative is negative 1.4b. Negative and negative, that's a positive 1, that's 1.0, simply 1k. All right, so that's for the first distributive. On the second distributive property, we will now do the second one. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2k. Negative times negative is a positive b. All right. So now, you might think you're done. Not yet, because you need to combine like terms. What are the like terms? This one, circle, positive 1k and negative 2k. All right. So a negative and a positive. So you will be a negative 1k, right? But you still need to add it to another k over there. So let's add them up. So negative and negative, we're adding them. Negative 1.2k. So all those k's were already simplified. Now let's look at the b's. I see this b. Look at my square. I included the negative and a positive b over there. Take note, there's a hidden 1 there, right? 1. So negative and a positive, just subtract them. What's the difference between them? It's going to be 0.4b. And what will the sign be? Negative 1.4 is bigger, so it's minus. So our answer is negative 1.2k minus 0.4b. That's the simplified answer. Let's now do Ingenuity problems. The graphic model of the properties used to solve one variable equation. They're telling you, what are we doing here? Oh, we've been doing that. What do you call it? Distributive property. You distribute the love, right? Distribute, it's like the parents' love being distributed to the siblings. Okay, next problem. Ronin draws a square with the measure of x plus 2. Okay, draw a square. And each side is what? X plus 2. X plus 2. X plus 2. X plus 2. And x plus 2. All right. It's telling you now that the perimeter is 96. What do you mean by perimeter? Meaning that if you add this side plus that side plus that side plus that side, the total is 96. Okay? That's continuous addition. Okay? The equation below represents the perimeter. Look, they don't want to do addition. They just did multiplication. What did they do? 4 times. Where did they get 4? 4 because there are 4 sets of x plus 2. So let's write it down. 4 sets of x plus 2. And guess what? The answer is 96. Right? So let's do our distributive property with that equation. That becomes what? 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 2 is 8 equals 96. Okay, now let's solve for a two-step equation. That's minus 8 on the left, yo, minus 8 on the right, yo. I showed it. So the remaining answer would be 4x equals 88. I want x to be alone. Divide by 4 to the left, yo. Divide by 4 to the right, yo. Cancel, cancel. X is 22. So that's the answer, 22. Next. What is the value of x in the equation? Round to the nearest hundred. So again, we'll have to do distributive property because there's a parenthesis. Multiply to u and multiply to u. So let's write it down. 0.45x, all right, plus, okay, get your calculator, 0.45 times 1.6, you will get 0.72. 0.72. Where did we get that? I multiplied 0.45 by 1.6. Okay, now, the rest is what? Plus 5x, I just copy it down, equals 18. All right, so next, combine like terms, guys. Look at this. There's an x here, there's an x there, including the positive. So if you add it up, they're both positive, so that's going to be, you're simply adding them, 5.45. 5.45 x plus 0.72 equals 18. Guess what? That's just a two-step equation. How can x be alone? Minus 0.72 minus 0.72. Okay, that cancels out. 5.45x is equal to, get your calculator, 18 minus 0.72 is 17.28. 17.28. Okay? How can x be alone? Divided by 5.45 divided by 5.45 for you. That cancels out. So x is 17.28, calculator, divided by 5.45, you will get 3 it's a long number, 3.1706 dot dot dot. So the nearest answer, rounded answer to the nearest hundreds is that one. All right, so I think they saved the easy one for last. So what method, identify method in solving for the x? Okay, it's just simply a one-step equation. How do you solve for x? You need to get rid of the addition. So what do? Subtract the 5 on the left, subtract 5 on the right. That cancels out. So what do? I don't need to solve because that's not the question. It's simply subtracting on both sides. Therefore, subtraction property of equation. All right, so that's the end of the lesson. So remember, this is Rampage Math. And remember that results is equal to action plus motivation.